Today's officer-involved use of force could easily have made the national news. I can't even find a news story on it, and I want you to figure out why. Hi everyone, welcome to today's badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Willivert. Today's video comes to us from
Columbus, Ohio.
that place.
This is not a paid endorsement, but I am a brand ambassador for Heckler and Koch for a reason. HK firearms are incredibly high quality, and when it's time to step up out of the entry tier, they're the only ones I recommend. You carry a gun just in case. Shouldn't it be an HK just in case? These officers are patrolling a little extra in an area of Columbus that is known for drug crime and gang crime. They're about to find some stuff to get involved in.
Hey, man, you know you can't be in the street like that. You gotta be riding that bike.
I was stopping and just asking
Stop
them
and you
for my
turn
direction.
around, all that craziness. All right?
Asking them for directions,
All
bro.
right. You gotta pedal. Or
I was
you
coming.
think about you being a car. Like when we pulled up behind you, we technically have to stop because you're in the middle of the street. So we had to wait for you. You're impeding our traffic. All right. So when you're on a bicycle, think about you being a car, man. You got to signal. You got to stop for stop signs. You got to do all that stuff. Hey, man. Will you smoke marijuana? Do you have any marijuana? I'm smelling a bunch of marijuana coming off of you. So you have no marijuana on your person right now. Do you know what marijuana smells like?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you telling me you don't have any marijuana in your bag? Okay. Hang tight for me. You're not free to go, okay? All right. Relax. You all right? Stop. Stop. Don't move.
Can you let me go, please?
No, you're not free to go. What do you have in your bag? Gun!
Eric.
10-3.
Put the gun down. I'm gonna fucking
You're gonna
kill
get
you.
shot.
Dude. I'm gonna kill you.
You're gonna get shot.
I'm gonna kill you.
Let
go of that fucking gun. Get your fucking hand away, dude. Get him under control. Give him the gun, bro.
I don't got the gun.
Stop struggling. Stop struggling, motherfucker. Back in the house. Let's get the fucking gun. Let's go.
I can't breathe.
Get out of the fucking car and get over here.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Where's he at? Stop.
Take the gun.
I can't breathe.
Get your hand.
I can't breathe.
Stop. You're dancing.
I can't breathe.
Fucking bell, you.
I can't breathe.
Stop.
I got him.
I got stop. Your fucking belly.
I can't breathe.
We just fought him for a gun, so let's get him under control.
No, he had a gun in his hand. Bullshit.
This is the second time this happened to me. The last time they slammed me all around and nothing. You see?
Eric. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. I'm gonna fucking kill you, dude. I'm going to kill you.
You're gonna get shot.
I will kill you. Let go of that fucking gun. Get your fucking hand away, dude. Get him under control.
Give him the gun, bro. Oh, damn.
Stop struggling. Stop struggling, motherfucker! Get it back in the house! Come get the fucking gun, let's go! Get out of the fucking car and get over here!
Where's he at?
Take this fucking gun.
I can't breathe.
I'm gonna break your arm.
I can't breathe.
Stop resisting. Stop.
I can't on your fucking belly, dude.
Area 10-3 at Kimball Fulton.
I can't breathe.
Stop.
I got him.
Get it. Stop. Your fucking belly. Come on, dude. We just fought him for a gun, so let's get him under control.
I'm glad you did. No, he had a gun in his hand. Bullshit.
Chopper to 5. Chopper's overhead. Chopper,
We got one in custody. Give me 1 or 2 more cars here, though.
I copy, got more cars coming to you overhead.
Stop.
Chopper, where they at?
I can't breathe.
Stop.
I'm cuffed already. I can't breathe.
Alright, man. Just breathe. Sit on your side and breathe. Hi.
I can't.
Hey, you got all this stuff on you. We gonna sit.
Try to get this off his neck.
Sit up. Breathe.
Keep your hands back here, okay?
There's a clip underneath his right shoulder, I think.
I don't got no.
No, I'm talking about to get this.
Pistol he had.
Nobody was shot here. I can't even find a news story about this one. I did find it on the Columbus Police body camera channel. Good for them for finding this stuff. You should go check them out if you want to see more about Columbus PD. Hey, Mike, if you would remember where our videos come from, that would be great. That's your job.
Here, what you don't know at home, folks, is John is here for hours preparing this, chopping up video, getting everything, doing research. I just show up and I'm like, oh, what do I say? He's like, what city is it from? And I can't remember that for 10 seconds. He should fire me.
But let's talk about lessons. So, Mike, I know people are going to want to know about, crime is afoot here. I do think that the officer came up and did a pretty good job of being pretty chill with this guy in the beginning.
Yeah, even above being chill with the guy, he was very professional. He didn't curse. He didn't say anything inappropriate. He explained, here's why I'm stopping you. Now, look, we can debate all day, and we'll talk more later about, why are we stopping this guy? What's the real reason, yada, yada. But for right now, the fact is, he's stopping him because they're on extra patrol, because they've had a lot of crime in the area. So he's just basically fishing for bad guys. This is the guy he ended up talking to.
Well, and now, okay, he's like, dude, I've got this huge odor of marijuana coming off of you. And so, he asked this question, do you have any marijuana on you? Were you smoking marijuana today? And you watch the guy's face, man, as he looks and he starts going, uh-oh. Because, of course, we've seen the contents of his backpack and recognized that, indeed, he does have quite a bit of marijuana on him.
His problem right now, John, is he's way too high to be having this conversation.
Way too high to talk to the cops. And of course, you have a Fifth Amendment right? So the officer says, do you have any marijuana on you? You can say, I'm not answering questions. Right. And that's perfectly acceptable for you to say. I also think, listen, right now in Ohio, recreational marijuana is still illegal and it's still a Schedule I substance federally. That's a problem for our legislators, okay? So, we tell the cops, well, wait a minute, you can choose what you're gonna enforce in some locations, whatever. But you should bust up the legislators for this and get them to change that because, again, under the current laws, this guy is basically trafficking in marijuana.
Yeah, it's like anything else. If you give law enforcement a tool to do their job with and it's useful, they're going to use it. Shocker. So if you generally don't like the idea that he's being stopped for having marijuana on him, people of Ohio unite and go tell your legislators you want recreational marijuana to be legal. Or don't. But we can't complain about the officers using a completely legal, available tool that they have at their disposal.
Well, and I will say this. The other part of this one here is that the month before this, constitutional carry went in force in Ohio. So I don't know that this guy, as long as he wasn't a prohibited possessor, and I don't have any reason to believe that he was, that he was okay to be carrying a firearm on his person without a permit from the government. However, I totally also understand that he would be, man, I got a bunch of weed on me and a gun. I'm about to get my butt whooped and end up in prison for a decade. And I get why he may not want to be talking to the cops and maybe want to run it off.
Yeah, fully understandable. I mean, this is one of those things, you know, if we have any young aspiring weed dealers in our audience who are watching this, you know, you just got to think to yourself, hey, man, if I get stopped by the cops, I'm stopped by the cops. What you don't want to do as a citizen is endanger your life by threatening with them. And certainly not, if you do have a gun on you, for God's sake, don't take it out with your hand. I'm genuinely shocked this ended without anyone being shot, John.
I am absolutely shocked that it did. We're going to talk about some of the reasons for that. And again, one of our big differences here is that this guy doesn't get shot. Now watch, again, he pulls a gun here. This is incredibly dangerous. And I think, I don't know if he's trying to get rid of it or whatever, or if he does intend to shoot the officers with it. But recognize that right here, these officers, if they had pulled a gun and shot this guy, I think it would have been 100% justified, Mike.
Yeah, it would have been we talk about bad outcomes all the time, John. It would have been a bad outcome for a young man to lose his life over something kind of this, in my opinion, unimportant. But man, if you're a private citizen, CCW, constitutional carry state, whatever, you know, people debate until the cows come home. Hey, if I'm stopped by the police, do I volunteer that I'm armed or not? That's a conversation you have to have with yourself and your God. But the last thing you want to do in that situation is reach for a firearm and even to toss it. I know you don't want to take the charge, I get that, but is it worth your life to avoid probably, in this case, probably a year tops you'll do in county? Is it worth the rest of your life? No, it's not. So I think a really bad decision on his part. And as I said earlier, absolutely shocked this didn't end in gunfire one way or the other.
Now again, I think though, a commendation to these officers that their skills were up to that particular task, that it didn't end up in gunfire. Certainly could have and would have been justified. But instead, a couple of fists there. Now, I know folks are going to talk a good little bit about this pain compliance technique, that he stuck his thumb just inside of that neck muscle, and that caused this guy to say, I can't breathe. Well, listen, that pain compliance technique, that would be illegal in jiu-jitsu. I'm going to tell you that right now. But it can be an incredibly effective technique, and it's not dangerous to anyone.
I'm not clear, John, at this point from this officer's badge cam, does he still have the firearm? Do we know?
He does not have the firearm at this point.
So I don't know if you knew that or not, but just, you know, as an aside, if a bad guy is posing a deadly threat, the use of deadly force is authorized, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a gun. It can be whatever you have at your means to stop the person from doing what they're doing. In this case, I think this particular thing temporarily is not going to cause him to expire. It's not going to cause him to not be able to breathe for any long amount of time, but I know for a fact that hurts like the dickens.
I don't even know where the dickens is, but this definitely hurts in the dickens. And it does a good job of changing the guy's behavior. Now, again, I don't know what policy is in terms of any kind of neck restraint or neck pain compliance use in Columbus, so I'm not sure on that. Now, as this continues forward, we're going to see again the gun come out and just kind of head off into the universe. And I do like that the officer here ends up with two hands on the hand with the gun. I think that 2-on-1 technique tells me that he has been to his DT, his defensive tactics, and he's putting it to use. And I think is a great reminder that for all officers, you probably need to invest in grappling training beyond what even your department gives you.
Yeah, I just don't think, I don't know how many agencies, John, honestly do a lot of this sort of DT past the academy. Mine did, kind of, sort of. I think it's really, this is on the individual officers and deputies to get out there. If you're not getting the training you need from your department, I know it's not super cheap, but a lot of places you'll have cops who give free classes or discounted classes to other cops. But get out there and find the training that you need. Most fights, generally speaking, in law enforcement end up on the ground, so you're going to end up grappling one way or another. In this case, their ability to grapple with this guy effectively was extremely important. It saved this guy's life, as a matter of fact, and it saved them from being on the news.
I think that we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second, but I think that point cannot be overestimated here. Now, our officer does get the gun away here, so he gets that guy's hand away from him, and he's still trying to kind of set on top of the gun, but the officer does finally kind of get the gun under his own control, and you can kind of see it in his hand right here. Now, I'd love your thoughts on this, Mike, because for me, my partner's still struggling with this guy, but my big worry is the gun. And instead of beating this guy with the pistol, I think maybe the better answer here would have been to take the second, drop the magazine, clear the round out of the chamber, and then at least even if I dump it by my feet or something like that, it can't be used immediately as a deadly weapon.
This is why I'm a huge proponent of uniform law enforcement carrying a dump pouch. Dump pouch is fantastic. A nice big open mouth dump pouch where you can just take this whole thing and not have to worry about it right now. Just dump it in the pouch, get back to work helping my partner. I think clearing the gun is a possibility. It's just on the table. I worry that might take a little bit longer to do to get back to my partner. It's tough for me to say. I would be a little bit worried about a negligent discharge because they're all amped up, but I think it's something that should be discussed, John, for sure, moving forward.
Yeah, and again, I think it was kind of funny when he yells at the other cop, get out of the stupid car, come here, take this stupid gun and get rid of it for me. Little comic relief.
Everybody was a rookie once.
Yeah, and listen, here's a big lesson. Thank God these cops had significant empty-handed skills, that they communicated well together. Thank God for that. Because, again, I literally can't find a news story for this one because it didn't make the news. I guarantee you, if they shot this guy, which they would have been justified to do, it would have made the national news. And therefore, hear me, officers, that commitment to some jiu-jitsu training or catch wrestling, judo, sambo, anything like that, some significant grappling style, training can keep you out of the news, out of jail, and out of court. And I think that we don't think about that. And I think that the department should provide that for all officers, but 100%. I don't think it's probably in the cards right now from a cost perspective and a liability perspective, Mike.
I feel like maybe agencies should be focusing on reaching out to trainers in their area. I mean, almost every city and town across the country has some kind of martial arts studio. A lot of places have jiu-jitsu places now. See if you can get these guys to come to you for a bulk rate or something, a discount rate. If you are a jiu-jitsu instructor, maybe volunteer your services a little bit to your city, to your town, and say, hey, I can help. I want to help. I want to help the community by helping these officers be able to handle themselves in the street, be able to grapple, be able to handle a situation like this, where, as you said, totally justified in shooting this young man, but because they had the skills and the training, like that wrist lock we talked about, because they have the skills and training, this young man is alive today. He's able to reconsider his life choices,
And I think that is incredibly valuable. Now, I will say this again, my libertarian streak runs pretty deep here. I think, if recreational marijuana is legal, then at worst what this guy is doing is he is, an unlicensed pharmacist, or he's, just not paying his revenue, his sales taxes or whatever. Given the current climate, I think the officer handled himself professionally. I think that this guy decided he wanted to run and then wanted to fight and wanted to draw a gun. Kudos to these officers for having the skill set, the attitude, the ability and willingness to work together to not kill this guy. Good work for them covering their ass.